Hi guys, today's show is brought to you by the extremely kind donations by our donors over at Patreon. Andrew, tell us a little bit about Patreon.
Well, you got perks, and you got donating to us, and all sorts of stuff. We'll read your name off if you want us to. Or even if you don't want us to.
Your name's getting read off. In fact, let's read off their names right now. Our current patrons are Stephanie L.,
Terry Needleman,
Max Lunig,
Benjamin Learer,
Chris O'Kelly,
Lily Hackles,
Mackenzie Horner,
John Donna,
Taryn the Duck, Real Duck confirmed, hashtag confirmed.
Melissa Goldman, who actually recently there was a scandal, not a real Goldman, sadly.
Oh, that's sad. But Jess Lightning, who I hear is the best Jess on the show.
Ewan Cassidy.
Haley McDonald.
Taskir.
Callum McLeod.
Fire of September.
And Sam Bergman.
It actually is September now. Isn't that cool?
That it is a fire. They give us. Did you hear what's going on in the Amazon forest?
Did that end yet, or is that still going?
There's fire forever in September. They give us a little extra financial support that helps us keep the lights on here at Musicals with Cheese. If you would like to join them in supporting us and get tons of fun perks such as patron-only commentaries, our episodes a day early, or even earlier, come join us over at Patreon. It'll be fun. It's like a little party over there.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Maybe we'll finally have our thing up by now.
That commentary we keep promising. It'll be up, and if not, something will be up. Thank you guys for your patience. All right, let's get on to the real show. Hello, I'm Jesse McAnally.
And I'm Andrew DeWolf.
And welcome to Musicals with Cheese, a podcast where I try to get Andrew to like musical theater. And guess what, Andrew?
Oh, is it a guest?
Another super special guest. And his name is
special guest.
And his name is also Andrew, which is going to make this super fucking confusing. Here we have historian and musical theater aficionado, maestro, Andrew Weinstein. Weinstein, forgive me.
Jesus Christ,
Totally
Jeff.
okay, guys. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm totally happy to be here.
I butcher your name within the first 5 seconds. Still happy to be here. What a sport.
Yeah, he's a good sport.
So, Andrews, how are we feeling today?
Good.
I'm is this a gag? Am I going to do a gag?
I mean, you can. You can if you give a shit.
Now you go, Jess.
You know how I'm feeling today?
Yeah, how's that?
I feel like my culture is slowly being monopolized by a bunch of other foreign countries.
What are you, a white supremacist?
Or worse, a colonizer?
Oh, no! In case you haven't guessed, we are not doing the KKK, the musical. We are doing Pacific Overtures, the musical.
In the middle of the world we float, in the middle of the sea. The realities remain remote, in the middle of the sea. Kings are burning somewhere, wheels are turning somewhere, trains are being run, wars are being won, things are being done somewhere out there, not here. Here we paint screens. Yes, the arrangement of the screens.
Pacific Overtures is a musical written by Stephen Sondheim and John Weidman. The show is set in Japan beginning in 1853 and follows a difficult westernization of Japan, told from the point of view of the Japanese. In particular, the story focuses on the lives of two friends caught in the change. So, Maestro and Andrew, what are your guys' overall thoughts on Pacific Overtures? Like, what do you guys think?
Well, since I'm the one who obviously brought it up to you guys, I have to tell you, this is one of my favorite Sondheim musicals. Next to Assassins, this is probably one of my favorites.
Kind of similar themes there, too, with the historical, but kind of almost vaguely historical, I guess. Hard to describe.
I mean, the show kind of like does a little bending with history, but otherwise you get a gist of what was going on. I mean, if you nowadays you want a better understanding of Japanese history, we have Bill Wurtz's The History of Japan.
But then we'd have to read.
Yeah, I'd rather just listen to songs.
Yeah, I'd rather just someone cram songs down my face.
Would you say that this is a good way to teach Japanese history, or is this not accurate at all?
I mean, I think this is probably a great way for people who have like no understanding of history to like get an idea, and in a way that's entertaining and really, really well written.
So what you're saying is it's like the Inglorious Bastards of Japanese westernization. Like, yeah, it's entertaining, it's good, but it's not real history.
I mean, I think most of the characters are like sub-ins for people who might actually have existed. I mean, sorry. The show is about people and about a culture, and you don't really get a lot of Western musicals told from a different point of view. Although the downside of it is that it is a point of view as written by a Westerner. So it's a whole bundle of not making sense, or shouldn't make sense, but it does.
It's Westerners writing as if they're writing an Eastern perspective from a Western perspective.
And I mean, actually, John Weidman actually studied East Asian history, so he has a good idea of what he was writing.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
He's educated. He's not just some rando coming in here, but then again, he probably doesn't have the personal cultural history the way that someone raised in Japan might.
I would like to know your history with the show, Maestro, and why you wanted to discuss it.
Well, I mean, I have no performing history with the show because I'm white. I would never be cast in this show anywhere.
I don't think you could be. It wouldn't. They don't do that. I don't think. Right?
Yeah. For context, we should probably let everybody know that this show was written for a full Asian Japanese cast.
Mm-hmm. Told in very traditional kabuki theater methods, meaning, at least for the first half, where it's an all-male cast traditionally, all Asian cast, and especially the original Broadway cast was an all-Asian with mostly Japanese with some Islanders and Chinese folks mixed in, but mostly an all-Japanese cast.
Funny thing is that like the way that the Japanese are presented is they're as I believe is written in Sondheim's Finishing the Hat, is all the Japanese are speaking the Queen's English, while all the other like people of other foreign descent are all like pidgin speaking.
Yes. Seen very well in the song, I think it's No Please.
Please hello.
Please hello, I'm so sorry. Yes, please hello.
And well, otherwise, I don't have any history with the show than just like grabbing onto it through recordings and finding video of it at an early age, and then just like really, really enjoying it.
So it's just a plain enjoyment. There's no like, because you say this is your favorite Sondheim. So what makes it rank above like the Sweeney Todds and the Sunday in the Park with Georges to you?
That actually is a very good question, because I love Sondheim completely. Like I love Sweeney Todd and I love Sunday in the Park, and I can actually sing those roles. I just find like something like it's a very different kind of Sondheim show, and that's what I think I like it more than like others, because there's like I don't think there's another show really like it. Even like Miss Saigon isn't really like this show.
No, I agree, and I think this is where both Sondheim and Hal Prince kind of get to stretch their legs in a way they don't usually get to. I think while this isn't my personal favorite collaboration of Hal Prince and Stephen Sondheim, I think this is them doing what they were most creatively seeking out to do together. Mm-hmm. Now, Andrew, what did you think of it? Because this was your first time watching it. You watched it 2 days ago.
Well, I think this is a very, very different show, and they have obviously gone very out of their way to make it traditional Japanese type theater and music. So the music doesn't sound well, there definitely is Sondheim in it. It doesn't sound as much like him as it usually does. He has a very distinct style, and a lot of his musicals sound very similar, but this one is just completely out there because they were going for something else. I will say that it kind of gets a little confusing in who you're following, because it seems like every scene they switch to new characters, and I got kind of lost at some point. Like the plot is easy to follow, but the characters are not, if that makes sense. Like I understood what was happening, I just didn't understand who I was watching sometimes. Is that understandable?
Yeah, there are moments where it changes from being a story about the main characters to taking these little like slices of life moments from the rest of the Japanese people.
Yeah, which is interesting, but I would say when you watch it for the first time through, it can sometimes be like, oh, is this someone I should know? Who is this? I guess if you watch it a few times, you kind of get used to it. Like, oh, well, this is this other character, this is this character, and these are the main characters or whatever it is. If there even is main characters, honestly.
You know what Hal Prince would say to you if he actually heard that critique?
He would say, you don't get it.
He would say that was an intentional thing to like throw off Western audiences. It's an intentional whiplash.
Oh, cool. Well, the people you're marketing to are probably Western audience, so you might want to think about that. Sometimes it's fine to please an audience,
But it's not unpleasing to an audience, but whiplash isn't altogether a bad thing.
No, but if you're trying to get someone to enjoy it right away, like first watch, maybe whiplash isn't the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Now, Maestro, do you feel like any of that is like too much, like they were avoiding trying to please an audience in a certain way?
Maybe. I mean, this show did have like multiple tryouts beforehand, so they were picking, and there were several like songs and moments that were like cut in Boston and Washington D.C. before it even got to New York, and even in the 2005 revival, there are still like more scenes cut.
So, I mean, they turned it from like a 2-hour and 20-minute version to like a 90-minute version for that like new revival, which I think is an effective way to get this bit story, which is basically just an extended metaphor across.
Wait, a metaphor for what?
It's just a metaphor for Westernization. That's all the musical is.
Well, I mean, it's not a metaphor, though. It literally is a story about what really happened as far as Westernization.
Told through metaphors. Like the end of Act 1 is literally a lion dance where a guy starts off as like a traditional Japanese lion dance and ends with like an American cakewalk.
Yeah, and they even cut down that scene for the 2005 revival where it's just like the guy, the Commodore Matthew Perry lion is kind of just replaced like by a big guy in a coat and a hat with some fuzzy hair and a big nose. And he just like shows up, stares down the audience, and then his compatriots just like start spray painting the stage before it cuts down to this end of the first act.
I mean, that's less direct, but less interesting too.
What? Yeah. Okay, so just not as good as in general, is what you're saying.
Yes. That is exactly. All right, Andrew, I'm going to put you to a task. A very difficult task.
Me or...
DeWolf Andrew.
Thank you for making that distinction.
Okay.
I want DeWolf Andrew to try to describe for me the plot of this show and hit the best way he possibly can.
Well, honestly, that's not that difficult. I don't think.
Okay.
There is Japan, which is not called Japan yet. It's called Nippon. Is that correct?
Nippon.
Nippon. At that point. And they don't allow foreigners in, But then a bunch of ships, they know that a bunch of ships are going to show up, so they task someone to look for them or something like that, or I might be wrong on that. It's one way or the other. They either have the boat show up and then they task someone to talk to them.
To figure out what they want, it feels like, just to go communicate in some way.
Yeah.
I think they task the person before the ships show up, right? Because the fisherman tells them that they're going to show up.
Yeah, there's a fisherman named Manjiro who was let out to sea as a kid, and then he came back to Japan after having been like schooled in Massachusetts, and he warns everyone that like these big American ships are coming, so they need to find somebody to go talk to them. Yeah,
so they promote someone in quotes because. They don't think it's a possible task, basically, to talk to them, and basically he thinks he's just going to fail.
I would too. Like I'm like, all right, just be ready for seppuku, guys.
Well, that's literally one of the songs. Then the ships do show up. The shogun of the area doesn't actually want to meet with them, even though they said they would shell the city. So the shogun's mother, I think, kills him or poisons him or something like that.
Yes, with the chrysanthemum tea.
Yes. but they do eventually figure out a way to meet with the Americans without letting them come on the land, but in ridiculous thing. Like
they have to put mats down and carry them across so that
it's
bring them
ridiculous.
It sounds like an Abbott and Costello sketch, but that is tradition.
It's kind of absurd, but that's what happens. And then they meet, the Americans leave, but then I think a bunch of other people show up and then they have to agree to open their borders.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not open their borders, open trade. And then by the end of the show, after all that happened, they pretty much, the Emperor says, like, we're going to westernize entirely. Welcome to Japan. The end.
Yeah, Toyota! Let's all come on in! We're going to start making stuff. Let's go!
Yeah, and there's a few characters that you kind of follow who I think become more and more Western as it goes, which you have the song Bowler Hat about. That's what that's kind of about.
Right.
Though that's the part of the show that honestly I can't follow as well, is what the hell those two characters do and where, because they're not in every scene, and occasionally it comes back to them, but I don't know. It gets a little confusing.
What do you think, Maestro? What do you think their purpose is in the story?
Well, the two people we follow around in the show, Kayama and Manjiro, are essentially like two halves of the coin at the time. You've got Kayama, who is becoming more and more Western and is enjoying becoming more and more Western. And then you have Manjiro, who has come back from America and is trying to become more Japanese, in a sense, trying to reclaim his Japanese ancestry. And eventually they become opposing ends of a war between the people who want to see the Westerners expelled from the country again, and those who want to keep them around because they're hoping that they can use their technology to become a powerful nation.
It's interesting. It's just, on first viewing, it can get a little confusing who they are and why we keep coming back to them occasionally, since while they are the main characters, they're not, really that important in the grand scheme after their part in the story is done. Another character worth noting is the guy who is like narrating the entire thing.
Yes.
The reciter.
Yes.
In the original production, he is played by Mako,
who you might remember from Avatar: The Last Airbender as the uncle.
In the original production, he's played by Mako, who is and in the 2005 revival, he is played by B.D. Wong, which most people know him from Law and Order SVU.
What about Mulan? He was in Mulan.
Oh, yeah. He's the acting voice of Shang.
And the 2017 off-Broadway revival cast had George Takei as the reciter.
Yes, that production, I believe, was like very, very stripped down to where it was just like the actors and a couple of props on the stage.
Bet the lion dance was really hard to do there.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, the reciter's role is essentially to tell the story. Actually, John Wyman originally pitched the show as a Japanese man creating a show about Japan after experiencing Western culture. So that reciter character is essentially trying to be like the author.
Well, the reciter is not like a non-biased, narrator. He's an actual person telling the story who is obviously from the Japanese perspective, so...
He reminds me a lot of the balladeer in Assassins. Like, that was the main connection I made, is like, this guy who is out of the story but still can hop in whenever he feels like it.
He's my favorite character.
Oh, obviously. He's the audience surrogate in a way. He's like the one holding our hand, and we all love the guy that's holding our hand.
Well, yeah, he told me the story. That's why he's the reason I understand what happened in this whole thing.
He also said a few haikus to me. Like, I felt really welcome by him.
There's a lot of stuff I liked in this that is not in songs. There's like a lot of parts where they show kind of how different the cultures are. I love the one part where they set up like an army behind a curtain and the Americans just laugh at them about it. They're like, who sets up an army behind a curtain?
I love the portrayal of everyone that isn't Japanese as like barbarians.
I was gonna say that as well. It's like how in a lot of shows well, not a lot of shows, but they're like older shows. You'd see like horrible portrayals of Japanese people as like ridiculous, over the top stereotypes. This is like the exact opposite, where it's like you have like that one song is, I think it is Please Hello, right? Where they have just ridiculous, over the top stereotypes of all these like European countries, and it's hilarious.
Is there anything you want to say about the story before we move on to the songs?
There's a lot to talk about in the songs.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, I think most of the story is really like in the songs, and that's what I love about it. And finishing the hat again. I'm just, the first general comments section is just literally about less is more.
Yeah,
and I think
apparently he learned that on this.
Yeah. But the best part I like about the story is that it's not condescending to the Japanese. At least I think it is. I would like to remind the audience that I am white and I am in no way an expert on Japanese history. So if you think that there is something that needs to be discussed, please send any comments to Andrew and Jess at musicaltheaterlives@gmail.com.
Who are both experts on Japanese history. Jess went to college.
Yeah.
All right. Fair.
He says fair, he says.
Sorry to interrupt you in the middle of the show, but I gotta shill at you. Today's show is brought to you by the extremely kind donations by our donators over at Patreon. Andrew, why don't you list them off for us?
All right. Do you want to see how fast I can go?
Yeah, go.
Okay.
It's not like they're paying
Stephanie,
us or anything.
They are paying us. That's why they want to hear me do this quick.
All right.
They're not paying us to read their name. They're paying us for the
they
show, Jess.
They kind of are, though.
Stephanie L., Terry Needleman, Max Lunig, Benjamin Lear, Chris O'Kelly, Lily Ackles, Mackenzie Horner, John Donna, Tara the Duck, Melissa Goldman, Jess Lickning, Ewan Cassidy, Haley McDonald, Taskira, Kyle McLeod, Fire of September, and Sam Bergman.
I like how you almost said Ewan McGregor.
Almost, but I didn't.
These folks give us a little extra financial support that helps us keep the lights on here at Musicals with Cheese. If you'd like to join them in supporting us and get tons of fun perks such as patron-only commentaries, our episodes a day early, or even earlier, come on to join us at Patreon. We're going to have some cool stuff as soon as Andrew's not busy every fucking day of his life.
Thanks.
All right, let's get back to the show.
The middle of the world would float in the middle of the sea. The realities remain remote in the middle of the sea. Kings are burning somewhere, wheels are turning somewhere, trains are being run, wars are being won, things are being done somewhere out there. Not here, here we paint screens. The arrangement
of the advantages of floating in the middle of the sea.
Probably one of the classic show openers.
I really like how different this song is because it's such a obviously very, very heavily influenced by the Japanese type music.
Mm-hmm.
How it's written, it doesn't have a Western sound to it at all. I think this song it's the most that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong there? I don't know.
Why do you think that's that way, Andrew?
Well, I think, it's obviously thematic. As the show progresses, you get more and more Western-style melodies. So at the very beginning, they want to really show off not having that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as Maestro probably might say, this was what Sondheim describes as one of the failures of the show, is the fact that he didn't go more weird and get them a little bit more off-kilter with this opening number. And state the theme more directly.
He could have done that, but I think it would have been too much and would have driven away audiences, especially for an opening number. I think he did it enough that you get the theme, but he didn't go overboard where it would people would be confused.
What do you think of the song thematically, Maestro?
It definitely sets up the tone in terms of the kind of music you're going to be hearing throughout the show, and the seriousness in which the characters are taking the story and their own culture.
And also Mako's voice is hilarious.
Yeah, he has a very, very nice baritone.
I'm not sure it's like the most perfect singing voice in the world, but when I hear it, I smile. I just love it. He makes me melt.
Gulls. Four black dragons spitting fire, and the sun. I had the dragon, and the sea bubbled, and the earth trembled, and the sky cracked, and I thought it was the end of the world.
I do like Four Black Dragons.
Yeah, that song is awesome.
There's a lot of intensity to it.
So why do you like Four Black Dragons so much?
I like songs that have a lot of intensity, especially when they're backed by the story. And like with this song, it's got a lot going for it, and it's obviously a very important moment in the story because this is kind of, you know, the thing that happens is the American ships show up and they stay there for a while. So it's pretty fucking cool.
What about you, Maestro? What do you think really drives you to this song? Draws you in?
Well, the song immediately right before this is this like touching, romantic song about the uncertainty of the characters, and then you immediately go into like absolute panic from everybody else, including like I love this little like mini scene in the song where the man, his son, and the grandmother are like arguing about how to get her up the mountain. And then we get a proverb about how, like, if you leave grandma up the mountain, I'm going to leave you up the mountain when you're older, Dad.
Brilliant. I agree with both of you guys. This song is like so incredible. Sets up the threat perfectly. It sets up like the main conflict perfectly too.
And then those last words, and I thought it was the end of the world, and the reciter goes, and it was.
Ox, my lord, with but 3 days remaining, and today already waning, I've a few further shocks, my lord. To begin, let me say, at the risk of repetition, there are ships in the bay, and they didn't ask permission, but they sit there all day in contemptuous array with a letter to convey, and they haven't gone away, and there's every indication that they still plan to stay, and you look a little gray, my lord. My lord. Have some tea, my lord, some chrysanthemum tea, while we plan, if we can, what our answer ought to be. If the tea the shogun drank will serve to keep the shogun tranquil, I suggest, if I may, my lord, we consult the Confucians, they have logical solutions, there are none wise as they, my lord. Over there, my lord.
All right, Jess, we can talk about the one you want now.
Yay! Chrysanthemum tea!
How do you say that? Chrysanthemum?
Chrysanthemum, yeah.
I fucking love this song, guys.
What do you like so much about this song?
It feels like classic Sondheim via like traditional Japanese culture. Like this feels like a song in content that could have been in Mrs. Lovett's mouth. Like, it is that amount of dark comedy that you don't really see in many other Broadway workers aside from Stephen Sondheim.
I really love that the Shogun just lays in bed the whole time.
Surrounded, like, by every single person in the court. His mother, his wife, his companion, his soothsayers, his priests, the counselor, and sumo wrestlers in the original production. I hate that they cut the sumo wrestlers from the new production.
Well, that's a fucking shame.
Yeah. Other than that, it's just like you go from having just like these. Everybody's trying to figure out what to do, and then just have the big twist of like, oh no, he was being poisoned the whole time.
But it's still a comedy song. Like, it is still a very high comedy song, despite that very dark twist to it. it just makes you want to listen to it again, like, oh my god, and I'm picking up the lyrics more and more, and it's very clever lyrics, like, it is very clever Sondheimian lyrics.
I absolutely agree.
Now, was it really a good idea to poison him, though?
I mean, the mother says that, like, if there's no shogun to answer them, then they'll have to leave, right?
Well, technically, no.
Yeah. I absolutely love how Sondheim actually describes this as a Jewish mother song.
What?
Yeah, guys,
I see it.
Yeah. It is.
How is this a Jewish mother song? Please, someone needs to elaborate this for me.
You know how there's like the stereotype that like all Jewish mothers are worrying and they're always on their children's case, and it's like, dude, you got to do it now. You got to do it now. Why aren't you doing anything? Oh my God, it's gonna get worse. I was raised in a Jewish household, so yeah, I can agree.
Why are you always such a mashugana?
Do Jewish mothers often poison their children?
No.
The only thing that Jewish mothers do is cut off the tip of the wieners.
Ugh.
Oh, lots of mothers do that.
I just wish mine didn't wait till I was 28.
Haze hovering like the whisper of the silk as my lady kneels. Your turn. Haze glittering like an echo of the lamps in the streets of Boston. Your turn. Moon, I love her like the moon, making jewels of the grass where my lady walks, my lady wife. Moon, I love her like the moon, washing yesterday away as my lady does. America, your turn.
I want to talk about poems a little bit.
All right, now you go.
Yeah, exactly. Do I need to say more than that? That is the joke. It is hopeful bliss from these two gentlemen. It is the closest thing to a romance song between these two guys, and you kind of need one in the story they're trying to tell.
Okay.
And I love it.
So, are they writing poems to girls or to each other or what?
That's the question.
It seems like one of them is writing poems to girls and the other one is writing poems to America.
Yeah, because that's who they consider like their lady love. Kayama loves his wife, who's ever attentive to him. And then we have Manjiro, who loves America because that's where he was raised. And that's pretty much like most of what he knows in his life.
I love their bonding. I really do. And I love how they can both respect like each other's love, which, considering the situation they're in, you wouldn't expect.
Very true. Your turn.
You go.
Welcome to Kanagawa. Music and food for 20 yen. Music and food and maybe then welcome. Welcome to Kanagawa. Music and food and company. Music and food and for a fee. Welcome.
Let's talk about Welcome to Kanagawa.
Kind of reminded me of that one, like the opening song in Miss Saigon.
Because it had prostitutes?
Yeah. Prostitutes that wanted Americans.
Sondheim describes this song as problematic, and he has done like dozens of rewrites, and he has not figured out how to fix it.
I mean, I
Then don't.
still find it like funny at times, but yeah, it definitely has its problems. Especially in how you're trying to explain all the things that these women are supposedly trying to sell to the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did they sell anything to the Americans when the Americans couldn't step off of those mats that they laid out for them?
That is a very good question. I mean, I would assume that there were like stragglers, or it's probably just like the Japanese are like hopeful for business, but you know, everyone's run away in fear. So the funniest thing is comparing like how each like thing is like shown in the musical, in the original production, they have the geishas all reading from like decorated fans. In the 2005 production, however, all the geishas have rope and they like act out using the ropes. Like, yeah, like they're essentially pretending the ropes are penises.
That's interesting. Man, I'm getting turned on right now thinking about those ropes, baby.
Thinking about those men dressed as women playing with them ropes.
Oh, man. And then freaking Lola's World starts coming on, and ooh, baby.
No,
It's kind of a pointless song, honestly.
We need something to laugh at that point in the show. There's too many. There was just a seppuku on stage. Like we need a chuckle.
Yeah, but like the poem song was kind of funny.
Yeah, and it's followed by a seppuku.
It's a meh from me.
Since I hear them, they are there as they argue it. I'm the listener underneath.
Someone reads a list from a box.
Someone talks of laws.
Then they fan a bit.
Someone bangs a fist.
Someone knocks.
Now there was a pause.
Then they argue it. But we want, no you can't, and we won't, but we need it, and we want. Will you grant if you don't? We conceded, I can see them. I'm a fragment of the day. If I were a crucifix, things might happen either way that they're happening. It's the fragment, not the day. It's the pebble, not the stream. It's the ripple, not the sea. That is happening. Not the building, but the beam. Not the garden, but the stone. Only cups of tea and history. And someone in a tree.
Can we talk about the next song that I think is probably one of my favorite songs of all time?
Absolutely.
Yes, let's talk about Lion Dance.
No, we're talking about someone in a tree.
Oh, we were gonna talk about that one? Are you sure we can't just skip it?
Fuck you. This song is incredible. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna talk about this because I have kind of stayed quiet for a second. But I really want to talk heavily about this song.
Your turn.
Exactly. You go. All right. So this is my last Sondheim, and it was a weird cherry to pop because like I've watched literally everything he's ever done. Even the weird Anthony Perkins movie he wrote the screenplay to. So this is the last Sondheim I have. And it's surprising that in the last piece of work I get of him, I am still shocked at how good he is. And this song, I was just like, holy shit, there he is. Like, and my jaw is just on the ground by it. So, and I can see its influence in future songs, like things like The Room Where It Happened in Hamilton. Like, you can see how this directly influences that. And it's incredible. It's basically, since no one has an account of the meeting between the Japanese and the Americans, they have these older folks describe like, hey, I was there and here's what I saw. And these samurais underneath the floorboards like, I was there too, I heard it. And they just kind of corroborating all their stories when basically no one knows anything.
Those people probably just made it up.
Either way, it's an interesting story.
Either way, it's an interesting story, but Sondheim had to go in there, and there's this great video on YouTube where he literally goes step by step through his writing process, where he had John Weidman write it out as a scene, and then he transcribed it into a song. And really, it is so effective and easily not just one of the best song in this show, but one of my favorite Sondheim songs. And Sondheim describes it himself as his favorite song he's ever written.
High praise from the man.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Maestro?
Yeah, you definitely put it. You said it right all there. It's his best song without a doubt. And it's just like at the end, I love how they just all decide. It's like even if it's just like these little bits here and there, it's still something. And if they weren't there to hear it or see it, who knows if it even happened at all.
I don't know. Didn't it? I don't know. His best song. I don't. What's so amazing about it?
You make me angry, Andrew.
What? No, really though. Am I missing something? Why is this his best song? I can think of like 3 songs in Sweeney Todd that I think are better than this
very
one.
What was that?
I can think of like 3 or 4 songs in other musicals he's done that are better.
Why? Which ones? Which ones are you thinking of specifically?
He has songs that have a lot more energy to them, or much. I like much more intense songs. This one is just kind of. It's okay. I don't know.
But for storytelling, it is a short play, basically. It's complicated, it is melodic, you can hum it. It is everything you would want from a song in a musical theater piece.
But the story it tells is unrelated to the rest of the story in a lot of ways, because these characters we never meet again, and really they don't actually say anything.
But it is also the climax of the actual piece, because this is what we've all been building to.
I don't know about that.
At least through Act 1, this is the climax.
Yeah, but I feel like the actual climax is the end. Sorry, I gotta throw a wrench on this one. I like to mess things up.
You're free to believe your wrong opinion, but
okay. As far as songs that I would want to go back and listen to, I liked Four Black Dragons better.
I mean, when I went back to listen to this after I did my first listen, the first thing I listened to was Someone in a Tree about 95 times, and then I listened to Chrysanthemum Tea about 5 times.
I watched the whole show through one time and then listened to it one time.
I'm surprised you didn't at least appreciate like how it slowly grows into this trio and then quartet. It's what everyone praised him so much for doing in Follies with like Waiting for the Girls Upstairs. Except
I like
even
the
better.
song. I like the song. Just his best song ever, I'm not sure about. I don't know if I can agree with that.
Okay, I'll give you that, but it is at least the best song in the show, storytelling wise.
Maybe. It depends what you mean by storytelling wise. In telling its own story, I would say yes. In telling the story of the show, not really.
And telling the story of like history. I love the idea that Maestro brought up about it being like history in itself. It's like whoever tells the story that sticks, more or less. And I think that's a brilliant metaphor shown very well in the song that is both memorable, catchy, emotional, and altogether the point of the entire
It's late and I fear, well you see there's a famine. Could you wait for a year? We'll agree to examine it. But wait, right here,
That's the only thing we want. Just
if you wait for
Say, Lord, don't forget the time.
a moment,
please, I think that is a short of 6 to 7 people. These are long, no secrets on the west. United States, society has invaded. Now that's the count! Ooh! All they taunt, that's what everybody wants. You should want all they taunt, makes a nation like a brother. We'll be here every year to protect us from each other. And to see you are exciting for entreaties and it done. Please alone, we must go, but our intercourse will grow. New détente, as they taunt, brings complete cooperation. By the way, every say, we adore your little nation, and with heavy cannon, wish you an authentic please alone.
Let's talk about Please Hello.
This song's a lot of fun.
Oh my god, yeah. What a way to open Act 2.
This is the best song in the show by far. Far and away the greatest song. Maybe the best song Sondheim has ever written. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Be careful with anything you say with Andrew, because Andrew will listen. Careful the things you do, because Andrew will hear and learn. Andrew may not obey, but damn it, he'll listen.
Oh, I'm listening.
All right. So Please Hello is basically Japan getting inundated with all these other countries being like, I want to be involved with you. And they're like, we just don't want to deal with this. And we don't have a military that can fight off all of you. Like, come on. And done in like these incredibly offensive stereotypes of these other countries.
It's amazing.
It's hilarious in the best ways.
In the title of the song is just a Japanese stereotype joke.
Although it's actually said by the Americans, so if you've listened to the song before, you know that like the American admiral comes in and it's like it's a big American march. Then you got the British admiral coming in and he's singing it like it's HMS Pinafore, or more or less like Modern Major General from Pirates of Penzance. Then you got the Dutch coming in and they're singing it like it's a clog dance. The Russians come in and it's like this very serious, folkish kind of thing. And then you got the French guy coming in and it's just this then the entire number just turned into a giant can.
It's amazing. This whole thing is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with them like signing like a thing and just holding it over the Japanese guy so you can't see him.
It is one of those rare Act 2 openers that is very important to plot. This entire musical breaks all musical theater like setups and rules and all that.
Oh yeah, a little bit. It's not. It's intentional though, obviously.
Japan.
Next! The top hitter on the New York Yankees last season was Hideki Matsui! Next!
Sony is now the #1 brand name in America.
Next!
And last spring, Japanese self-defense forces joined their American allies to help reconstruct Iraq.
Never mind the small disaster. Who's the stronger? Who's the faster? Let the pupil show the master. Next! 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 Next!
Toyota Motor Company, 4270 up 40 yen.
Exxon Mobil, 5017, down 20
Fujitsu 1639, down 3 yen.
75 yen.
2380 yen, unchanged. Itoyo Kado 3930, down 30 yen. Sony 3770, down 40 yen. Nikko Honda 5290, down 30 yen. Tokyo Electric 2424, up 2.
Nippon! The Floating Kingdom. There was a time when foreigners were not welcome here. But that was long ago. 150 years. Welcome to Japan.
Next! Okay, this is one of the best ending songs to any musical ever.
With a fantastic ending line.
Yes.
Honestly, probably the most memorable part of the entire show is just this ending.
Yeah, the visual symbolism of everyone just turning and becoming what Japan is now, basically, the land of Toyota and all that other stuff.
Yeah, and massive
Anime,
polos.
furries, everything.
Yeah. There is a difference in the staging between the original and the 2005. In the 2005 production, the song starts with them kind of wanting to become like a military power, and then Commodore Perry just like walks in on the runway in the middle, and then suddenly there's like a huge flash light, and part of the set comes down, for the nuclear blast. And then slowly the Japanese are like rebuilding themselves, and then it regains momentum.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting decision to exclude that part of Japan's history where after all this happened, they decide they actually want to conquer everything. But I don't know. Is that an intention to make the Japanese look better or to downplay the nuclear bomb? Or I'm not really sure what their intention with that was.
I think the intention was that they are going through a point where the way it's staged in the 2005 production is that they're trying to become a military power, and then
which is what actually happens, like in the real world.
Yep.
That's what happened.
Yeah, but then
I'm wondering, the original production, why did they skip that?
I think it was probably because it was sensibilities, and you got to remember that at the time it was like 30 years ago. At that time, it was like 30 years ago, and people were still feeling the effects of it.
Yeah, it was not ancient history the way it kind of feels now.
And for the show, and the way it's shown in the show, is that it changes their direction from being a military power to the like economic and technological power.
Yeah, they won in the end, so to say.
They skip the World War stuff and they go straight to the good ending.
Yeah.
Next,
let's skip the fact that they sided with the Nazis, fellas.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna host trivia between these two nerds.
Yay!
I'm gonna lose again.
I think we decided that the guest goes first. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Who was the original choreographer for Pacific Overtures?
I was just looking at this name like yesterday. It's Patricia something. I forget.
Could you guess the last name?
Blount?
Ooh, very close. Jess, I'm not sure how do we want to proceed with that. Got the first name right.
What would you do if it was me?
If it was you, I'd say absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll accept that. I'll accept no points.
Okay, it's Patricia Birch. Jess, you want to give us any insight on Patricia Birch?
Her name was in the playbill that I looked up.
Wow, that's very insightful. Thank you, Jess.
Sorry.
All right, Jess, here's a question for you.
All right, I can't wait to get it wrong.
Okay. Who is the only actor to reprise their role from the original production in the 2005 revival?
Okay. I'm just gonna throw a guest out there. Will you accept last names?
Yeah, sure.
Ing? I-N-G?
Yeah? Can you get the first name?
Oh, fuck. Oh, God.
Well, what's the character? Who's the character?
I think his name was, like, Alan?
I think it's Alvin.
Fuck!
Am I saying that right? Alvin?
Yeah, Alvin,
like Alvin
Ing.
in the Chipmunks? Alvin Ing, who is playing the Shogun's mother. Now, as I did with Andrew, I'm going to say
No
points.
And I will deserve that.
Since you both lost, I'm going to declare Maestro the winner.
Yay!
Thanks.
I'm the best. All right.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna give this up.
Basically, Jess loses by default, I mean.
Yeah. As it should happen. You know who else should win by default? Hal Prince for getting the show on. Maestro, I know you've got a lot to say about Hal Prince. Why don't you tell us a little bit about him?
Oh, sure thing. Well, for those who don't know, I currently work at the Library for the Performing Arts in New York City. And starting September 18th, we will be opening a brand new exhibit called In the Company of Harold Prince, Broadway producer, director, and collaborator. This will be a special exhibit combining showing off artifacts with interactive stuff. So in addition to displaying original costumes, set models, and archival video, we will be showing facsimiles of paperwork from Pajama Game and Damn Yankees on an actual recreation of Prince's desk. We'll have digital replicas of scripts from former Secretary Ruth Mitchell, which will be linked to never-before-seen photos from the library's photo collection. And we'll have an open cabaret stage where visitors can either perform songs from Hal Prince musicals or talk about their own experiences seeing Hal Prince theatrical works. This exhibition will open September 18th, 2019, and run through March 31st, 2020, during the library's normal hours, Monday through Saturday. And the exhibit itself is, of course, dedicated to Hal Prince, who unfortunately passed away back in July. He was a trustee of the library, and we are very happy that the library is home to a lot of his papers.
Mm-hmm. That's incredible. And this runs through next March?
Yep.
I need to be there. I need to go check that out.
I'm sure Jess will actually check it out.
And just check out the library in general, because the Performing Arts Library has books and DVDs all about the performing arts, from musical theater to dance to music. We have one of the largest collections of circulating scores and scripts. And our research center has everything from old vinyl records to recent recordings of musicals, thanks to the Theater on Film and Tape archive, which is how I actually got to watch the 2005 production.
Incredible.
Yeah, so if you want to know... Yeah, unfortunately, I won't be working there after the end of this month. You're hired because you get to work because you're in school, and I'm no longer in school. I just earned my master's in library science. So
congratulations.
Thanks. So,
yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so I got to find real work. But you all listening should definitely come out to the library. It's absolutely free to check out the Hal Prince exhibit, and we encourage everybody to come out and talk about it online. We're going to have a hashtag for the exhibit and all the other events that we're holding in conjunction with it. Hashtag Hal Prince NYPL.
Hashtag it, kids.
Because let me tell you, we're going to have a lot of people coming in to talk about working with Hal Prince. In January, there's going to be a reunion for Parade with Jason Robert Brown and playwright Alfred Urey. Susan Stroman's going to be talking about working with Hal Prince on the revival of Showboat in November. We're showing the documentary Harold Prince, The Director's Life on October 21st. And we're having a big sing-along show and tell, as my boss loves to describe them, on January 30th. And best of all these events are free. Most of them require an advance reservation. So you should go to nypl.org/LPA/events for all the listings of everything we have going on at the library.
And when was that parade reunion?
Monday, January 13th at 6 p.m. Tickets will be available starting December 13th at 8 a.m.
Gotcha. All right. Maybe Jess will make a visit in early January to New York.
You probably won't see me there, but yeah, enjoy it.
Well, while we're chatting, how about you guys tell us your overall thoughts on Pacific Overtures and your cheese rating?
All right. I think I'll go first.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a very different show.
So you agree with Clive Barnes, was telling me?
I honestly, I think I kind of do. I didn't love it, but I also obviously did not hate it. And there's quite a few good songs in it. Like, most of the music is very impressive and good. So there's a lot to be seen in here, but the story is a little bit tough to follow, and there's the lack of real like lead roles also makes it a little bit difficult to get fully invested in. But I think the story is very interesting, and especially for people that are interested in things like Japanese history, it's a very interesting telling of this very important part of Japanese history. As far as a cheese rating, what's that?
I was just gonna ask you how it ranks around the other Sondheims you've seen.
I'd probably put it close to Assassins,
which is on your lower end.
Yeah, but not bad.
It's not the frogs.
I would give it I've not seen the frogs, but I love frogs. Just throwing that out there, so I do want to see the frogs. I'm gonna give it a Sakura cheese, which is a cherry blossom cheese from Japan. Very cool.
Dang it, that was what I was gonna choose.
What about you? What about you, Maestro?
I also would give it a Sakura cheese because it is a camembert brought over from the West, but made better by the Japanese. And overall, I do.
That's a better exclamation. There you go.
And yeah, I love the show. It's definitely a unique story to tell on a Broadway stage, and I am so happy that they went and got a full Japanese cast to tell it, because if you tried putting the show on with an all-white cast or even just like a mix cast, you're not going to get like the same kind of authentic sort of feel for it.
Mm-hmm. And how does it rank among the other Sondheims? You say this is up there for you?
Up there it is. High up there for me. Of course, I might want to put it maybe with a little night music, because overall I do like Sweeney Todd and Sunday in the Park and Into the Woods more as Sondheim shows, but I absolutely, every time I put on this cast recording for Pacific Overtures, I'm always listening through to the end.
I can't disagree with any of that. I share all of your guys' basic beliefs. I think it's one of those things that amazes me when I watch it, but I don't think I'm going to revisit it as often as I revisit all the other things. I'll revisit Someone in a Tree basically every month until I die. I know that, but I'm not sure I'll ever rewatch that entire recording of the video anytime soon. It ranks among mid-range Sondheim only because it's not accessible to me, but I can totally see some of Hal Prince and Stephen Sondheim's absolute best work in this.
Yeah, theatrically it is their best show.
Mm-hmm. Like, as a pairing, I think it might even be their best show. Like, it's right up there with Sweeney Todd, neck to neck. And my cheese rating is also Sakura cheese, but it is sliced. It is sliced with a chrysanthemum cheese knife.
Yeah, great. Good job.
Yeah.
You really added to that one, Jess.
Here, try the cheese of the chrysanthemum cheese. All right.
Get that. Jess, can you get off the show, Jess?
For disturbances at sea. I had to.
Exactly. You know what else I have to do?
What?
Thank
What's that?
our wonderful patrons for donating to us and making this show possible. They are all, each and every one of them, incredible. That includes Stephanie L., Terry Needleman, Max Lunick, Benjamin Lehrer, Chris O'Kelly, Lily Ackles, Mackenzie Horner, John Donna, Taryn the Duck, Melissa Goldman, Jess Lightning, Ewan Cassidy, Haley McDonald, Taskier, Cal McLeod, Fire September, and Sam Bergman. They're all incredible and making this show possible. Also, if you would please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher at Musicals with Cheese. We're on Twitter at Cheesy Musicals. We're on Patreon at Musicals with Cheese. Our Instagram is Musicals with Cheese. Our YouTube page is Musicals with Cheese. Our email is combobreakermusicaltheaterlives@gmail.com. Our title card was created by the incredible Jolene Casco. Following her on Instagram at Jolene Casco. Maestro, is there anything you want to promote out to the world aside from the Hal Prince exhibit?
Sure thing. Personally, you can all follow me on Instagram at Maestro Marvelous, or on Twitter at Maestro Marvel, or my dedicated music history associated stuff Twitter feed, which is Music W Maestro W, or you could just Google Maestro Music with Maestro Weinstein, and you can pretty much find anything I have out there.
And you can find that all in the show notes right now. All right, Andrew, is there anything else you want to say?
Everyone have an excellent day.
Agreed.
That's lame. You're both lame. All right, we'll see you next time on Musicals with Cheese.
Beep 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 beep.
Da.